Today we're going to be learning what is thyroid storm and what is it caused by and its danger. All right, so this is going to be a pretty long video. This me discussing about what you're going to get yourself into here. It's also going to be a big part long video. So, if you don't know, thyroid storm is of course what it sounds like. It is part of your thyroid system. So you have two thyroids, okay? I wouldn't know thyroids, but basically you do have a thyroid, and with your thyroid, there comes sometimes where your thyroid can act perfectly normal. So it can act just the correct way. Alright, where nothing's wrong, everything's correctly, you gain weight when you're supposed to, and you lose weight when you're supposed to. But then there comes a whole hypo and hyper of this thyroid condition. So what is very weird is when you think about hyper, you think that it acts too high or it acts too low. So for hyperthermia, that's like a high temperature. We've discussed many videos on that topic, and we've discussed about hypothermia, being low because hypo low. And hyper being it's hyper means you're like very very high and very very energetic, and with hyperthermia you have a high temperature. But this one takes hyperthermia, hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia. It takes all those other hypers and hypos, and they turn them around into something that's very confusing. So with hypo and hypo means it's working too much, so you gain weight, and hyper being that it's not working correctly, so you're losing weight. So with hypothyroidism, it makes you gain rapid weight, and it's working a little bit like more or less than what it should. And then stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure now, could be wrong, because I've done a lot of research with this, so I'm 90% sure I'm correct. Again, that 10% could be exactly where it's at right now. But continuing what I was saying, hypo and hyper for this are very dangerous things, and it's very confusing because, again, you never always see too many cases popping up with hyperthermia, with hypothyroidism. That gives you a thyroid storm. You usually see thyrotoxic conditions go along whenever you have hyperthyroidism, not hypothyroidism. So, the thyrotoxic psychosis or thyrotoxicosis or whatever it is, it's very very dangerous. Okay, another word for it is thyroid storm. There's another cool nickname that you can use to make yourself look cooler, but it's the same thing. But yeah, so we're getting into a very very weird, and again very very hard to understand type of condition. So grab your beverages, grab your drinks, and start learning exactly what I'm going to show you. Start taking notes. So here we go, guys. Everything to know about thyroid storm and what it is caused by and its danger. So here we go. Warning, I am not a medical doctor. Like I said, I'm just a hypochondriac that makes research videos on this medical stuff. If you think you have anything in this video, don't take this with a grain of salt. Actually go to the doctors. Enjoy this research. So I did all my research on this video from Google. So if I'm wrong, then Google's wrong. So yes, I took this exactly from a doctor's website online. So without further ado, let's get into it so you guys can start learning. What is thyroid storm? A life-threatening complication associated with untreated or undertreated hyperthyroidism. It causes rapid heartbeat, high fever, and unconsciousness. So this is like one of those where you think thyroid storm isn't that dangerous, but until you get to see the symptoms and what it can cause if you don't treat the symptoms, then you'd understand that yes, it's very dangerous, because every condition that can cause stuff like this without being treated will lead to death. You have to treat any medical condition in order to be okay with having it, alright? So you have to understand that some of these can be extremely dangerous than others. And this is just one of those that I would actually put above hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia, and even hyperthermia. Now, what you're going to see for symptoms is that thyroid storm actually contains hyperthermia within it. So for thyroidism leading to thyroid storm or thyrotoxic crisis, you'll start to realize that everything in this video is actually true. So here we go, guys. Let's learn everything you need to know about the symptoms and everything else. So the rarity of this disease is extremely rare, fewer than 1,000 cases, because with hypo and hyper, thyroid, hyperthyroidism, hypo, is that most of this stuff can be treated because most of the signs are obvious and you'll get treatment immediately for them if it starts to bother you. Again, the rarity of this evolving into what is known as thyroid storm is very, very rare, as this can go years and years untreated without causing any significant amount of damage but what's already done for those many years without those treatments. So you don't automatically need treatment, but it is recommended that you get treatment for these medical conditions. So having these stuff, it's very, 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 you just need to get treatment for these immediately, because if you don't, things could start to happen, and not good things either. Here we go. Danger level. May be dangerous or life-threatening. Urgent medical attention is usually recommended by healthcare providers. So it's usually recommended by the people that would take care of you for this, that you would get the help that you need, because if you don't, it could kill you or lead to significant amount of damage. So that's why you need to get treatment for this, is because it can be very, very dangerous. So what are the symptoms of thyroid storm? Tachycardia, heartbeat of 140 heartbeats per minute, high fever, hyperthermia, sweating persistently, shaking, agitation, restlessness, confusion, diarrhea, vomiting, loss of consciousness. Now, this is what makes it a whole bunch worse. If you think tachycardia is bad, or we have this condition bad, mix it up with having a high fever, with sweating profusely, with a high heart rate, you can either go into cardiac arrest, because without this being treated with this whole having a high heart rate, that alone can lead to cardiac arrest within a few minutes. You have that to worry about, but then you have a high fever, which causes sweating persistently. And on top of that, you're shaking and you have diarrhea. So not only do you have diarrhea, vomiting, but also you have sweating a lot. You know it's going to kill you, because again, if you don't treat, let alone that, you have to worry about dehydration affecting you because of all this, and it could lead to death. Causes of thyroid storm. The causes include damage to the thyroid gland, severe undertreated hyperthyroidism, overreactive thyroid gland, which is undertreated, infection, which is related to hyperthyroidism causing elements such as Graves' disease. Risk factors for occurrence of this condition in people with hyperthyroidism include surgery, trauma, stroke, diabetic ketoacidosis, and pulmonary embolism. So that last one's part of a heart condition. Diabetes, that's a condition that can be caused by diabetes if not treated fast enough, and that's also dangerous. We'll learn about that in a later video coming up this year before I start school again. What is the body temperature of a thyroid storm is between 104 degrees to 106 degrees Fahrenheit is common. So it says combo, but it means common because I couldn't finish it, or I did it by mistake. The heart rate of this disease is that can exceed 140 beats per minute, which means it could over 140 beats per minute, or just be like that. So yeah, you can definitely expect a high heart rate with this condition, because it's significantly dangerous if you don't control your heart rate fast enough with this. So you need to make sure your thyroids and all of them are okay, definitely with these heart rates and complications. What really causes this hyperthyroidism that goes untreated for a long period of time, though again, that doesn't automatically mean it. It just means that if it's untreated, it could lead to something like this. Not always, but there is a chance that it will. Symptoms include swollen thyroid gland for hyperthyroidism, so you know. Prominent eyes, increased metabolic rate, a condition that termed as hypermetabolic state, increased irregular heartbeat, increased blood pressure, shaking hands, increased sweating, hot flashes, irritability and restlessness, increased bowel movement, weight loss, weakness, difficulty sleeping, brittle hair, hair loss, nausea and vomiting, irregular menstrual cycle, you get the whole point. And yeah, breast development in men. Causes of hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism results from increased production of hormones from the thyroid gland. Factors that influence the overproduction of hormones include excessive intake of iodine through diet, dietary supplements or medications, tumor infection of the thyroid gland, same thing there, Certain tumors of the ovaries, testes, or yeah, all right. The risk factors include gender. Women are more prone to develop hyperthyroidism than men. Family history, because it can run in genes and be genetic. Chronic diseases such as type 1 diabetes, prominence, anemia, and primary adrenal insufficiency. Hyperthyroidism complications. Thyroid storm is the big one on here. As we talked about it, like this is the main one. Large amounts of thyroid hormone, suddenly worsening of symptoms, loss of consciousness, shortness of breath, very high or irregular heartbeat. Arterial fibrillation, a condition which irregular beating heart turns into increased risk of stroke. Osteoporosis, or thin and weakened bones. Eye problems which can lead to vision loss. So thanks for listening, guys, and watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you guys enjoy these videos. And make sure to stay healthy and stay researching. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Peace out, everyone.